has been no shortage of discussion these days about how unbelievably divisive and negative political discourse in America has become. I mean, just yesterday we were talking about how there was a period of time after the horrible attacks of September 11th where Americans, for a while, we all kind of felt unified in our collective pain. And for a while, it was like we were kind of all friends again, right? Nobody looked at each other as Democrat or Republican or independent. But 17 years and a million political battles later, and it's really hard how to imagine to get back to that place of unity where people see each other as people and not just political issues. And while I don't in any way want speech to be suppressed, I do think that people with big microphones should be asking themselves whether or not they're helping or hurting the problems of our division. Because never forget, I mean, there are always unhinged people out there that are ready to meet divisions with violence, and there's stories about it every single day. The so-called resistance has shown their willingness to seize on those divisions with violence and harassment, and the legacy press has been more than happy to cover up the aftershocks and pretend that it's all just peaceful dissent when it so often is not. Take, for instance, the news that came yesterday. A Republican congressional candidate, Rudy Peters, barely escaped being stabbed by an unhinged lunatic over the weekend who ranted about the Republican Party and President Trump. Now, Peters is running against Democrat incumbent Representative Eric Swalwell in California's 15th congressional district. And according to police, the attacker, 35-year-old Farzad Fazeli, walked past Peters' info booth at the Castro Valley Fall Festival, and he lobbed a few insults and some profanity-laden political statements, and he included the president and Republicans, and then he eventually became more and more aggressive. Apparently, one report said he was throwing things into the booth before he then pulled out a switchblade. He was going to stab Peters, but the report was that the switchblade malfunctioned. Peters grabbed the attacker. They struggled. Apparently, the knife wouldn't open all of the way. This is where Peters describes this event. Watch.
He picks up the coffee cup to rear back to throw it at us, and I jump around the table. He throws the coffee cup. It misses us. It hits the ground and breaks. So I come out and grab him and wrestle him and throw him down to the ground.
That's crazy. Thankfully, nobody was injured, and Fazeli has been arrested. But how much worse could this have gotten if his switchblade had actually opened and the knife functioned as intended? As I said, people are free to speak their mind, and I don't think that they're responsible for lunatics like this attacker. See, I give them the benefit of the doubt, whereas, you know, NRA members usually aren't. But it's really hard to deny the culture of violence on the left, and that it's getting worse, and finding approval from many in the Democrat Party who refuse to do something as simple as admit that Antifa is an assemblage of violent thugs. And meanwhile, a Trump supporter asked on Twitter who wanted to meet up at a Trump hotel for a meeting in D.C., a Make America Great Again meeting in D.C., and the response was met by Twitter user Dreamstar, which was taken seriously. It says, "I'm coming with a gun, and I expect to get numerous blood-stained MAGA hats as trophies." So was this person serious or not? I mean, even if they weren't, I mean, we live in an age now where you have to take every single one of these things seriously. Do people not see how people like this one that attempted to stab a Republican congressional candidate or burn down a Republican office, a GOP office, another recent act of violence against the Republican Party that was barely reported on, might be inspired by such discussion?